I welcome you all to this press conference organized by the National Leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, centered on the hike of pump price and other tariffs. And it is tagged reverse hikes in electricity and petroleum pricing of face mass protests. Being a press conference on recent hikes in prices of PMS, electricity tariff, and other increments announced by the federal government of Nigeria and addressed by the global president of NANS, by my humble self, Comrade Daniel Simbamidele Akpan, today, 10th September 2020. Gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, comrades. It is no longer news that the federal government, in a sweeping total deregulation and subsidy removal policy, announced another increase in the pump price of petroleum and premium motor spirit. It is also a known fact that prior to that, the federal government also approved increases in electricity tariff, while banks regrettably reduced interest on consumer savings. The effects of these increases, amidst earlier increments made in value-added tax, VAT, and multiple taxations on goods and services, have started causing untold hardship and unbearable consequences on Nigerians, thereby compounding the obvious imbalances in the economic and social life of Nigerians, most of whom are dependent on unstable electricity supply and PMS to do businesses and make ends meet daily. I must categorically state that there have been uncharted abuses of our foreign exchange by beneficiaries of subsidies over the years, and by no means new to this administration, which has had nothing to do with the welfare of the masses. It's a misplacement, as these huge resources deployed to a few, very microscopic few, could also be deployed for the optimum growth of the nation. Regrettably also, the subsidy regime is no longer visible and its complete removal is inevitable. However, the timing of the removal and its effect on is wrong. At the time when the effects of the coronavirus pandemic is biting so hard on the masses and Nigerians everywhere, including those who are working in the private sector, those who don't have jobs, those who are working with the government, whether at the federal, state, or local government level. Everyone is groaning. The new normal in the world requires the channeling of resources to profitable ventures with a humane face, conscious and deliberate growth plans, discoveries and discussions on sustainability models of revenue generation, firm economic programs with deep impact on citizens, and how to prevent the country from another recession. Rather than continue an unstable squander of the nation's resources in the name of subsidy, this is totally unacceptable going forward. However, the period of the increase due to such removal leaves all in wonder. Sadly, too, prices of food items, which is, of course, what Nigerians consume on a daily basis, consumables, transportation, and other essential services would have skyrocketed, again, leaving Nigerians frustrated and bewildered. Nigerians are not unaware of government's unending explanations and reasons for these imagined biting policies. They understand the dynamics in the oil sector. However, Nigerian students have decided to call on government at the center to reverse the increases in petrol price and electricity tariff because of the prevailing economic situation. Generally speaking, Nigerians are bewildered that, having been under months of lockdown, without working, staying at home, most of them with no means of livelihood, most of them with their salaries stopped, most of them that have also equally lost their jobs. Welcoming them back to normal life with increases in prices of essential commodities is a burden too harsh for the citizens to bear. You go to the left, to the right, from the northeast, and of course, west and south, Nigerians are groaning. And like Fela said, suffering and smiling is more like what we are presently having. Nigerian students in particular will be hard hit by these policies and therefore cannot concentrate or cope with studies as they are usually managed 101 feeding standard. 101 is eat in the morning, in the afternoon you go on hunger strike, and at night you are able to eat. But with this, it means that we have to go on either 001 or 100 or 010, which of course is dangerous to the future of this country. Someone that is not well fed, that does not have good feeding ability, will certainly end up in kwashiorkor. Many students have been forced out of school already due to high cost of living and deteriorating economic conditions of their families. As you already know, Nigerian students, NANS structures within the states and across the country have been protesting against the latest announced prices as directed by the National Secretariat of NANS. The protest will continue as planned. On behalf of the NANS leadership, I hereby direct the entirety of Nigerian students to reaffirm our commitment to ongoing calls for the reversal of these hikes by the federal government. Precisely on Monday, 14th September 2020, Nigerian students shall be making a loud statement that will be loud enough for the deaf to hear within the conference, the circumference of Nigeria, and of course beyond. In a mass protest across the 6 geopolitical zones, the Federal Capital Territory to demand outright reversal of the insensitive prices hike. Now is the time to reset our priorities as a government, people, and develop with a common purpose that seeks the good of the common man. Perhaps, if our refineries were to be working, if our refineries were to be put to optimum production level and new ones added over the years, Nigerians would by now have long forgotten the pains of persistent increases in especially petroleum products. That the government has realized that Nigerians can no longer bear the pains of long years of neglect, dishonest oil merchants who have ripped Nigerians of earnings from oil refining, production, and sales at the detriment of the people, nation's reserves, and national development, but should act in consultation with people. Because this decision was reached by the federal government without the consent of the people, without the consent of the masses, without the consent of the structures that are available for such discussions. Only for us to wake up and see that pump price had been increased. The federal government announced 151, and we all know that you don't go to any filling station and get it less than 160. Some sell for 163, while others sell for 162, and just very few of them sell for 161. We cannot continue with this regime. A letter of protest, or we shall be engaging the FG and all ministries, departments and agencies and other stakeholders, both in the finance, power, and petroleum sector. We shall demand, too, efficient service delivery from the discos and the entire power sector. A letter of protest rejecting the price hikes, especially on electricity and petrol pricing, would be addressed to the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, through the 6 geopolitical zones for onward delivery to Mr. President, while the FCT Minister will convey the message to the Presidency himself. Finally, we enjoin members of the 4th Estate of the Realm, the journalists that are also here present, to partner with us on this journey, to put an end to this repeated debacle in the petroleum sector. Again and again, every government will be talking about the regulation, talking about removing the subsidy. And of course, you know how from the days of Obasanjo, the pricing in oil has been increasing virtually on an annual basis. In 2012, President Jonathan increased the pump price, and of course, we all know what happened. Finally, we assure citizens and the Nigerian government that our resistance to the latest increases has no political undertone and shall be non-violent. Non-violence, like Mahatma Gandhi said, is the first article of my creed, and of course, the very last article of my existence. It is a cause Nigerians are in dire need of responsible citizens and organizations to champion, and NADS will be taking the lead. Further modalities shall be periodically communicated to the media for effective coverage. I thank you most sincerely for coming. I thank you for the reportage of this. May God bless you, journalists, and bless Nigeria.